of all of the glory, the honor, and the praise. And we're excited one more time to be in the house of the Lord. Are we not? Our scripture reading this morning is going to come from Psalm number 145. 145, and the word of the Lord says, I will extol thee, my God, O King, and I will bless thy name forever and ever. Every day will I bless thee, and I will praise thy name forever and ever. Verse number 3, great is the Lord. Everybody say, great is the Lord. Great is the Lord. Great is the Lord, and greatly to be praised, and his greatness is unsearchable. You know him to be a great God. Put your hands together one more time. Praise. Hallelujah. Let us go to God in prayer. Eternal God, our Father, Lord, again, how it is that we thank you now. God, we bless you and we honor you. God, we come before your throne, God, with thanksgiving in our hearts. We come, God, with a grateful mindset. We come, oh God, to recognize you and to honor you and to say, God, that we love you and we desire to be in your presence. And God, we're grateful one more day. We're grateful one more time, God, that you allowed us to be able to assemble ourselves together. We dare not take this moment and this opportunity for granted. We recognize, God, that it's just by your grace and your mercy that we are here. It's just by your grace and your mercy that the blood is yet running warm in our veins. And for that, God, we just say thank you. We bless you, oh God, in the sanctuary this morning. We bless you, oh God, for this blessed privilege, Lord, that we have to be able to call upon your holy and righteous name. And so, God, we come today asking, Lord, if there be anything not like you, Lord, that you would purge us, God, that you would cleanse us, Lord, create in us a clean heart and renew a right spirit within, oh God. It's our desire, Lord, to lift holy hands unto you and to give you the praise, the honor, the glory that is due your name. And so, God, we ask, Lord, that you would make your presence known even now, God, that you would move up and down every aisle and move up and down every row, oh God, and that you would move upon the hearts of your people even now. We thank you, God, for what you're doing in this house, and we thank you, God, for what you're doing in our lives, and we bless you, oh God, just for who you are. God, we lift you up today, God. We honor you, we praise you, and we glorify your name. We ask now, Lord, for your healing now. We ask, oh God, that you would make your presence known amongst these your people. As we sing praises unto you, God, we pray that you get the glory. We pray, oh God, that our singing, Lord, would not be in vain. And so, God, as you have purged us, and as we praise you, and as we glorify you, oh God, that lives will be changed. And Lord, that chains would be broken, Lord, and that our lives would be transformed, and we would become more and more into the image of your dear Son, as you have created us to worship. And so, Lord, we worship you today in spirit and in truth. Now, God, have your way in this place. Look upon our pastor today. Touch, Lord, like only you can. We believe it and we call it already done in the matchless name of Jesus. And every believer in the house said amen. Hallelujah. Every believer said amen. Hallelujah. Our God is a great God. He's worthy to be praised. And we're going to yield the floor at this time to our praise and worship team.
You
because of who you are. And we love you, Lord, because we found no one else like you. So it says falling in love with Jesus is the best thing that I have ever done. And I say that without a thought in mind. It's because of Jesus, amen, that we feel such love, that we have such love, that we can give such love, because he first loved us. Anybody know what the love of Christ feel like? Anybody know what the arms of the Lord feel like on today? I do, and I'm most grateful for him on today. Help me sing this on today from your hearts. Because of who you are, Lord, we love you. Thank you, Jesus. It's the best thing I've ever done. Jesus, the best thing. He won't leave you, brother. He won't sit and point the finger and accuse you when you've done something in error and wrong. And he loves us unconditionally. But what I like most about it, sometimes you get around people because they don't want to hurt your feelings, they won't tell you the truth. He's always there telling us, giving us truth, and correcting us when we're wrong, and not being fearful of correcting us. But out of love, he corrects us because he wants to be with us. He wants us to join him. Amen. In life, forever, with the Father. So thank you, Lord Jesus, for loving us. Amen. Amen. At this time, we're going to take the opportunity to love on one another and give God praise. When you stop by the pastor, say a special prayer. Lift her up in prayer. She's working bumblebee. She's steady working just like us all. But we thank God for her diligence and her faith. Amen. Amen. Service on this morning. Our pastor is coming. So as she's coming, if you would lift your hands towards our pastor. We're going to pray the strength of the Lord upon her. We pray, oh God, Lord, in the name of Jesus, God, that you would touch now. We pray, oh God, that a special endowment of your grace, oh God, that you would give her the grace now to be able to stand and declare the oracles of God as you have called unto now. God, bring strength upon strength, Lord, in the name of Jesus. We call it done now. In Jesus' name, and we all declare amen. Amen. Hallelujah. For he is worthy. He is worthy to be praised. For he is worthy. He's worthy to be praised.
I come to lift him up today. Praise God. And not just because I'm in your presence. I was lifting him up at home. Hallelujah. Praise God. Thank God for Jesus. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Sister, that is front and back. Front and back.
I just didn't fold it. I'm sorry.
That's all right. That's all right. Praise God. If you have an announcement, well, you're actually getting two because it's supposed to be a half sheet. But that just gives us some information on what is and what is coming up within the next week. Praise God. On this coming Wednesday, we will continue our lesson topic, opportunity. It was originally scheduled for Minister Joy Wright to go forth, but this week, I will continue with teaching that lesson under that topic, opportunity. All right, so that is this Wednesday at 6 o'clock. You have the number there provided for you. Also, two things. Beginning next Sunday morning, Pastor Fred Clayton, along with Peaceful Living Worship Center, will begin worshiping here using our sanctuary beginning at 11 o'clock. And so we do know it will be from the month of October through March of next year. So know that you are more than welcome after our services to stay for their worship service as well. And also they will be here on Tuesday evenings in Bible study. All right. And so we thank God for the opportunity to be a blessing. Not just to be a blessing, but to receive a blessing. It's more, the Bible says, it's more blessed to obey. It's better that we both obey than to offer up a sacrifice. And so we thank God for the opportunity to hear the voice of God and then to be a blessing as God has purposed us to be as it pertains to that ministry. Also next week, after our worship, I've been asked to deliver the message down at Unity Chapel during their morning worship. That's the 11 o'clock service in observance of Bishop Irving's and Mother's 20th pastoral anniversary. And so that service begins at 11. As many as can and will, then we're going to ask that you would be with us, join us, and that we go down as a ministry, as a church. Bishop knows that we love him, but we want to, as many as can come, to be in attendance for that worship. Amen. Amen. You're also now receiving the October newsletter, Christ's Own newsletter. I ask that you would govern yourself accordingly to what is printed. And just a little extra, if you would, on the end, some things perhaps that we didn't know about that are also observances in the month of October. Last week we had our children's ministry go forth on the topic of bullying, and we certainly were thankful for all of the input, statistics given, and information provided. But the month of October has been set aside, if you would, for bullying prevention. Amen. All right, and so we did add some information on there. Thank you, Minister Keenan. Thank you. The Lord bless you. And a couple of other things. So we thank God for you. We thank God for you continuing to go forth in my absence. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. This morning, I want to, well, not want to, because part of me did not want to, as far as being transparent this morning, but the Spirit has in fact led me to share some things with you. Some things that are maybe not that easy. Not saying that you yourself would be able to identify with, but I'm sure that someone in here will be able to identify, if only in part, with what will be brought on today. I want to begin today's lesson, and I won't hold you long. Certainly going to have to work on being near or close to ending our worship services on Sundays, because they'll be coming in before 11 to set up what they need to set up. And so I have been mindful, and I will continue to be mindful. Sometimes we go over. But today I do want to be able to, if the Lord leads, to bring this lesson in a brief fashion. Quite a bit of material, and so therefore we will be made into a series. So today will serve as, if you would, an introduction to what we will be speaking on the next few weeks during the morning worship. All right? All right, I'd like to begin today's lesson by posing a few questions. And I'd like to open this with the question, have you ever asked yourself, who am I? Not just asking the question and then not giving consideration to it, but I mean, really, have you given deep thought to who you are? When I ask this, I'm not talking about the surface you, but what is beneath the surface you. Think about it. Have you ever, letting go of everything that is around you, have you ever just tapped into you? Do you really know what lies within? And if so, how do you and I get beyond the surface to activate or tap what's within? It's one thing to know that there's something there, but it's another thing to be able to tap into what's there. And really thought about who I am for real? Well, as I've already put out there, I've been doing a lot of thinking. I've been thinking a whole lot about who I am. I've been doing some searching. And sister, I have been searching for me. The me that God has made me. The me that He is longing to see. Somebody say, well, wait a minute. Don't you know who you are? I know in part who I am. I know that I'm a mother. I know that I'm a sister. I know that I'm a friend. I know that I'm a pastor. But who am I? Does that make sense? Besides dealing with some things that I've kept suppressed for years, I've also been reawakened to some things that in me had fallen asleep. And not only that, but been introduced to other things that I didn't even know existed in me. These last couple of months have been very interesting. But what I've come to recognize is that shifting through and going through all of this stuff that's in me, even through the tears and anger and disappointment or disappointments that I've had over the course of my life, I told my sister that I stood in the bathroom and just began to cry. And after crying, becoming angry about some things concerning my past. I felt bad behind it, but what I recognized is that going through that was actually good for me. That year upon year, unchecked or unidentified things in me were continuously festering or manifesting itself in me to a greater degree. Even though it was tough walking through it, it didn't feel good to me, but it was certainly good for me. Today's lesson topic is simply, there is more in me. There is, and I'm going to probably need that. You just didn't put that there for a reason. I'm going to probably need that going through this lesson today. There is more in me.
Amen. Amen.
I want us to look at Exodus 3. I'm going to read it, verses 1 through 11. Exodus 3, 1 through 11. This is taken from the New Living Translation. It says, one day Moses was tending the flock of his father-in-law Jethro, the priest of Midian. He led the flock far into the wilderness and came to Sinai, the mountain of God. There the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a blazing fire from the middle of a bush. Moses stared in amazement. Though the bush was engulfed in flames, it didn't burn up. This is amazing, Moses said to himself. Why isn't that bush burning up? I must go to see. When the Lord saw Moses coming to take a closer look, God called to him from the middle of the bush, the burning bush, Moses, Moses. Here I am, Moses replied. Do not come any closer, the Lord warned. Take off your sandals, for you are standing on holy ground. I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. When Moses heard this, he covered his face because he was afraid to look at God. Then the Lord told him, I have certainly seen the oppression of my people in Egypt. I've heard their cries of distress because of their harsh slave drivers. Yes, I am aware of their suffering. So I've come down to rescue them from the power of the Egyptians and lead them out of Egypt into their own fertile and spacious land. It is a land flowing with milk and honey. The land where the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites now live. Look, the cry of the people of Israel has reached me, and I have seen how harshly the Egyptians abused them. Now go, for I am sending you to Pharaoh. You must lead my people Israel out of Egypt. And our focus scripture today would be verse number 11. It says, but Moses protested to God, who am I to appear before Pharaoh? Who am I to lead the people of Israel out of Egypt? Who am I? So often I've said to myself, and perhaps you have maybe pondered this in your mind or held it in your heart. I'm done. I have nothing else that I can give, because there is nothing else to give. Have you ever felt that way? Moses was 80 years old. He was 80 years old during the time that we are now reading about. After having been in Egypt 40 years, witnessing the suffering of his own people, the Hebrews. And after killing an Egyptian because of his mistreatment of his brethren, he killed him, hid him in the sand, and then ran for his life. 40 years in the wilderness. Now being called by God to return to the place that he ran from. 80 years old. I'm 50 now almost. And somebody say, well, 50 is the new 30. 60 the new 40.
I'll take it.
You take it, I'll take it. And thereon. But can I tell you that as I'm nearing 50, I'm tired. I am worn. I am beat down. So to ask me to do, in addition to what I'm already doing, is a great chore. It's a little bit too much. You're asking for something more that I have no more of. So, I think.
My Lord.
So, perhaps you think. Or perhaps we thought that we don't have, or what we have to offer is not good enough. I got something to offer you, but it won't be my best. It was very interesting that while I was studying and preparing the notes for this lesson, that the scripture in Hebrew 11:6, it was like a flash. You know how something comes before you and then it's no longer there? You see it for a moment and then it's gone. It came just like that. Hebrew 11:6 says, and it is impossible to please God without faith. Anyone who wants to come to him must believe that God exists and that he rewards those who sincerely seek him. I thought to myself, what does that have to do with what I'm talking about today? What, God, does that have to do with this lesson that I'm preparing? As I began to really study it, I noticed that there is a sequence. I want you to get this. There is a sequential order found in this text. Look at it. The second clause, let's look at all of it. It says, and it is impossible to please God without faith. Anyone who wants to come to him must believe that God exists and that he is a rewarder to those that diligently seek him. So what's the order? Somebody answer me. What is the order?
Look at his 6 first.
What's the order?
Come to God.
What?
Must believe.
Must believe what?
And he exists.
That's the first thing. The second to that is that he is a rewarder to them that seek him, right?
Amen.
And so, in other words, one thing must happen before anything else can follow. Look at it. For the reader, one must first believe and accept that God is.
Yes.
And as it pertains to our topic, we must first realize first that there is, catch this now, we must believe and recognize first that there is before we can accept that there is more of.
Amen. Amen.
I want us to consider this question. How can there be more of anything if we are unable to identify that there is one of something? How can there be more of anything if we are unable to identify that there is one of something? Do you understand that statement?
Amen.
Looking at verse 6, the Lord called Moses from the burning bush, and Moses responded by saying, here I am. He calls him, Moses responds. First point I want to make is, we know how to answer to our name, but sometimes struggle answering to the name placed within. Oh God.
My Lord.
I know how to answer when somebody calls my name. That's an automatic response. But when I'm being called to what is within me, sometimes I struggle with that. Because I don't know what all that entails. I don't know if my response is yes, then I don't know what yes entails. Does that make sense?
Amen. Amen.
We know how to answer, but struggle sometimes answering to the name placed within. I know my name. Anybody ask me my name? I know my name. I am sure of my name. I'm sure because that's the name that was given me. That is the name that is on my birth certificate. So I have no problem in identifying who I am by name. But do I know that there is more to me than just my name?
Amen.
I know it, but am I able to identify it? Y'all ask me, what's my name? My name is Geleeta. Now, can tell you my name, my full name, what I'm known by. Geleeta Yvette Gentry Paul. Gigi. That's my name. Those are the names I answer to. But who is Geleeta? Who is Gigi? Somebody say, you don't want to know Geleeta. You don't want to know Gigi. You want to know the aftermath of Gigi. I ain't talking about that part. I'm not talking about my old man, Gigi. I'm not talking about my old man, Geleeta. But I am talking about Geleeta. The Geleeta that has longed to see who she is. Who after almost 50 years is still trying to identify who Geleeta is. And here's the thing, not so much Pastor Geleeta Poe as it relates to Christ the Stone Christian Outreach Ministry and that calling, the calling that is on my life. But who is Geleeta, the person in God? Did that make sense?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Does that make sense? Am I being clear about what I'm saying today? Who am I? But more importantly, who am I to God? There's a quote that says, "There is more to me than meets the eye." God, have you ever heard that? There's more to me than meets the eye. And what I'm finally realizing is that most times it's not others' perceptions of me, but it is how I have and am perceiving myself. Here's where it's going to get tricky.
Come on now.
Can I just be me today?
Amen.
Over a month ago, I was impressed to begin writing another book. For those of you who don't know, God has blessed. God has opened a door where I have submitted 2 books along with almost all of my inspirational writings to a publishing company. And they accepted it. And within the next 7 to 8 months, then it's going to be published.
Wow.
Some work, some of you all know, some work almost as old as me.
Wow.
But this is the time, this is the season. God has placed it in the hands of those who read it and accepted it and have now pushed it forward to publication. But since then, God has begun speaking to me again. And I began writing again, actually writing 2 books at one time. But this one that he impressed upon me, I was actually at work and I was pushing the barrel with my supplies, going into one of the restrooms to clean. And as he began speaking to me, usually I take one of the paper towels or something that I have and I keep an ink pen with me. Just began writing what I heard. Began to be so much I had to leave from where I was, go all the way back to the front and ask for a notepad from the receptionist. This is what I began to write. It has a title that says, I am more than just the cleaning lady. I've heard this before. I've heard this years ago. But now God is bringing it back. Now let me share this with you. When I began writing it, it had the original standpoint of it was how I believed that others viewed me because of the type of work that I did. And so very quickly I began to develop notes of how I perceived others looking lowly at me. The sly remarks made to me. I had a gentleman one time, he was passing along, he was a Caucasian gentleman, it's been some years ago, and just trying to remember everything everybody said to me regarding this position that I had. And I remember him saying to me, now when he would be by himself, he would be very cordial. But because he was yoked with someone else, which happened to be of my background, Afro-American, he said something to me that angered me. He waited till he walked past me, and he stated, I'm just bringing you up to what things, how I thought this book was going to go. He said to me after passing me to his friend, first he said to me, he says, Merry Christmas. I said, well, thank you. It was around the Christmas season. And when he got past me, after saying that, he said to his friend where I could hear and he wanted me to hear. He said, so what are you going to ask Santa Claus from? Well, first of all, I don't believe in Santa. But what are you going to ask Santa Claus for? A new mop bucket.
My Lord.
I heard it. And I perceived I cannot allow you to get away with that. So as they're laughing, I said, excuse me, sir. I said, what did you say? He said, oh, I was just being funny and just asking, it's the Christmas season, and I thought I would just do a little joking. I proceeded to tell him what I thought about that. I didn't cuss him out, but I proceeded to tell him that I did not appreciate that. Things like that, upon other things, these are things they were saying, and the thing is, as long as I didn't begin to believe what they were saying about me concerning what I was doing, then I would have been all right. But it was the moment when I began to believe that, what this job that I do, it is lonely. If I was them looking at me, then how might, on occasion, might I think about that? I like to think that I would not think lonely. I would like to think that, this is, as we all are providing a service, just at different levels. But the issue is that it was not what they were perceiving about me, but what I was perceiving about myself. The book started out that way. But over the course of writing, I noticed something, and that is, I can't help what others think about me. Or what they say to go in my line of work. But the fact was, unconsciously, I began to think the same thing. It's hard to admit. My notes began to change from poor me to look at God. Poor me, poor Geleeta. Not attaining to things that have been a part of me all of my life. My desires, my wants. God began to change that whole script around. It's not going to be about poor you. It's going to be about the purpose, my plan for your life. where you are. Instead of focusing on the negatives, I began to recognize that it was purposed for my life. Nobody has to tell me, nobody, because I know some things. I know that I have skills. I know that I have intelligence. I know that I have abilities and talents. I know these things. But who am I?
All right now.
Who am I? During this series, I want to touch on 4 areas of truth. There is more in me. There is more on me. There is more with me. And there is more for me.
Amen. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
There's more in me. That's what I want to look at today.
Amen.
I got 10 minutes. The other book I told you I was writing about, I began writing, it has the title, The Bleeding Woman. Immediately I thought of the woman in the scripture that had the issue of blood, the one that had bled for 12 long years. You know her? And so I am compositing all these notes. I'm going line upon line, precept upon precept, with just that portion of scripture, that passage of scripture. And God let me know this will not be a book just giving your thoughts or ideas about what her issue was, but this book will actually expose what issues you have.
Amen.
My God. That you're talking about the bleeding woman, but you are in fact the bleeding woman. Joy, it is rough. It's rough. And I'm going to have you to write that so that you will be able to go to those issues, deal with those issues that you have suppressed for years. In order for you to recognize that more has been in you all along.
Praise God.
Gathering of those notes have caused me to go back in life as early as 8 and 9 years old. And revisit some things from my childhood that are still affecting me in my adulthood. We spent years in trying to identify who I am. For real. I love God. I'm saved. I'm set apart for His usage. But then I needed to really know, apart from that, who I am. And I know who I am is connected to this. I know that. But there's a searching and a yearning within me to know who I really am. I thought of the scripture. I
I am fearfully and wonderfully made
Yes.
by God. What does that mean? What does that mean for me? I know what that means as it pertains to me, but what does that mean to me? I know I was created by Him and for His purpose.
Amen.
What is my purpose?
Front door open.
Beyond Christ's stone. What is my purpose beyond being a mother to my children?
Yeah.
Grown children. What is my purpose being what is my purpose? Some possible reasons perhaps why I know why I have not tapped into the more in me. Perhaps you can identify with some of these things. Number one, the simple fact that maybe we didn't know that there was more. Maybe we thought perhaps what we were and what we were presenting was it. If you don't know there is more, then you don't know to go after more. The other thing is, I know there's more, but how do I get to more? How do I get there? What do I do? Where do I go? What do I say? How do I get there? Another reason could be that we're just willing to settle for less. That I'm good where I am. I'm good with what I got. But the thing is, so many being happy in Jesus and not being happy with themselves. Another reason could be that there's a failure to utilize the tools made available to obtain the more that is within. Another reason, excuses are easier. You know, it's easier to give an excuse just rather than to just man up or woman up. Another reason why we may are not able to tap into the more is that we are comfortable where we are. Another reason could be attempting to do it in our own strength. To obtain that more using the abilities and the skills and talents and the capabilities and the money and whatever other resources that we have, when we know that it's not by might, not by our might, not by our power,
Come on now.
but by the Spirit of the living God.
Hallelujah.
Another reason could be that we assume that the more is unattainable. It's out of our reach. It's too far to go after. Another reason might be simply is we just don't believe. We don't believe there is more. We can see the more in everybody else, but neglect to see it in our own selves. Exodus 3:10, God said to Moses, "Go now, for I am sending you to Pharaoh. You must lead my people Israel out of Egypt." And then his response was, "Who am I?" I'm sure Moses would have rather have remained in the field than to come out to the forefront. There is more. This is not to suggest that tending the sheep
of his father-in-law was insignificant. It's just that God ordained more for his life. This is the same principle working at another level.
Amen.
Moses went from leaving the flock to leading God's people. He went from tending the flock of Jethro in the wilderness to leading the flock of God to the promise.
Amen.
Another point I want to make today is know that God will not call you to do and not equip and empower you to do. Philippians 2:13 says, "For it is God which worketh in you both to will and to do of his good pleasure."
Amen.
There is more
Thank you.
in me.
Oh, yeah.
Say it. There is more
Indeed.
in me.
There's more in it.
A few months, I'll be turning 50. And I've become aware of some things in the past couple of months about myself. That within me, there's some things that lie dormant because I've simply become tired of searching for me. Tired physically, tired emotionally, tired psychologically, and having the feeling that I have nothing left to give. Not just to give, but to even give my attention to.
My Lord.
Because I'm just tapped out. I'm just spent. The problem is, sister, I've been able to identify this. The problem is I've spent much of my life doing someone else's something and not recognizing my own. Or that I was afraid to go after my own. Or I was too tired to even try at my own.
Definitely.
Layers upon layers upon layers. And on top of those layers, some more layers. Some very thin, or very thin. Easy to pull off and move on to the next. Some very callous, some very difficult, some not wanting to move. Some of them not wanting to be removed. I've been tunneling through these layers of things. Insecurities, disappointments, failures, anger, self-perception. The perceptions of others. In order to get to me. The me that God sees and wants me to realize.
All right.
Held in isolation and seclusion because I didn't choose to deal with what I was needed to deal with. Not dealing with some feelings and emotions, sometimes too embarrassed or guilty about those emotions, about my past, some things I suffered in my past, making it even more easy to just keep tucking it away. It rise up, I don't deal with it. I put it right back where it belongs. And I must not have done a good job because it popped up. So now I got to put it deeper in a place where it got to make its way through some other stuff in order to come to the forefront of my mind.
All right, all right.
Found that it was easy to tuck it away, to alleviate it, or at least, at most, to minimize what thoughts it would bring, what results would come from it. Can I tell you what God told me? And maybe it'll be a blessing to your life. God told me, Geleeta, you're not tapped out. You just have not tapped in.
All right, all right.
Amen.
You just haven't tapped in. You tired from doing everything else instead of what's most important for you to find you. You just haven't tapped in.
My Lord.
I had to ask myself, am I really serious about getting to know who I am? For real? Geleeta, are you really serious about knowing who you are and tapping into who you really are? He says, if you are, then you need to get past what keeps tripping you up.
Amen.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
You got to move past that and not get stuck at it. You keep getting stuck.
Come on now.
When you got to move on, it's there to stick you. But you have to have a greater determination that you're going to become unstuck and move past what's trying to hold you down.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
He said to me to cultivate what you know, even though you may not fully understand what's within. You know it's something, but you don't know what's all to it. Cultivate what you do know about it. Cultivate what you do know about you, Geleeta. There is more in me.
Amen.
God said to me, you got dead scabs on live skin.
My Lord. My Lord.
Have you ever cut yourself, scraped yourself? And when it happened, it was very tender and very sore. And so, what you may have done is you got some peroxide, or maybe if you were brave enough, got a little alcohol, and put it on there because you didn't want the outer elements to get in what was now open. And so over time, what happens? And sometimes the scab, have you ever tried to cover a scab with a Band-Aid because the scab was just so ugly? But the scab was there for a reason. It was there to protect what was under the injury.
Amen.
Have you ever gone sometime, you don't have to admit this, but I admit it, because you got tired of looking at the scab, even though it wasn't ready to come off. You start picking at it. And what happened was, instead of it getting better or going on with the process to heal properly,
Refresh.
But the truth is that up under that scab are new tissues developing. There's the coming together of the skin. It's regenerating itself. It's alive. Just because what's on top of it is dead doesn't mean that what's underneath it isn't alive.
Amen.
Does that make sense?
Amen.
God told me you got a lot of dead scabs on live skin. And in order for that to come to where it needs to be, I just scratched myself up a whole lot of times on my hand, but you can't tell. Because it healed properly. I'm going to help you. As a matter of fact, I'm the one that's going to begin pulling off that dead stuff in order that you will be able, Geleeta, to recognize who you are.
Amen.
And not just who you are based on your own perception, but who I have called you, Geleeta, to be.
Amen. Amen.
You told me I had too many on live skin. 2 more minutes. He told me you have spent too much time on identifying with how you're being seen, not just by others, but how you see yourself, and less time on what I know about you. He said to me, I know who you are and for what purpose you have been made. I know, I just need you to know.
All right now.
I just need you to know. He said your confidence in me should mirror the confidence you have within.
Amen. Amen.
He said to me to determine in your heart, mind, and soul that I am not going to settle for less when God has made me more.
Amen.
Hallelujah.
There's more in me. And not is there just more in me, but there's more with me.
Oh, yeah.
God told Moses, I will be with you. And so it's not just about realizing who you are, because we'll never be able to realize who we are without the help of God.
Amen. Amen.
So I'm there with you to help you to understand who you are in me. Not only is he with me, but he's on me. It's one thing to have skill and ability, but it's another thing to have the anointing of God upon your life.
Amen. Amen.
I have anointed you, Geleeta, to be who you are. Not excluding the ministry, not excluding the motherhood, not excluding all of those other things that if you allow me, or the external, how you operate in these external things. But know that I have anointed you, I have empowered you to be you. the you that you seek after, the you that I know is in you. If you don't write anything else down, I want you to write this down right here. Get a piece of paper from somebody and an ink pen. God says, the more of me that you realize, the more of me in you will be revealed. The more of me that you realize, the more of me in you will be revealed. Or you can turn that second part around, the more of you in me will be revealed. You can get nothing else. Get that. Know that there's more in us. If it were not, we wouldn't be here today. We would have been called on home. But because we're here, God wants us to understand that there's more within. And not just get so excited. It's good to get excited. God wants us to be excited about what He's doing in others. But can we get excited about what's in us? Can we get excited about who we are in God for real? Can we at least lean towards that there's something more? Can we do that? And I trust that as we're leaning, that God will begin to open up, to reveal to us who we are.
Amen. Amen.
The purpose for me. Aside from everything else, it's all connected. So I'm not saying that it's a disconnect. It's all connected. But today I'm just talking about me. The person me. I'll end with this. Luke 12:48. If it were not so, it would not have been spoken. To whom much is given, much is required.
Amen.
So we ain't tapped out. Maybe you didn't come thinking today you were tapped out. That's not what I'm suggesting. I came being honest. Share with you some places that I have been. You asked me today, Pastor, are you tapped out? No, I'm not tapped out. I don't feel tapped out. I'm not today at a place where I feel like I can't take nothing else upon what I already have. My plate is full. No, that's not where I am. That's a place I have been. And I cannot say that it won't be a place that I go to again. I will pray not. I hope not. But I am determined to dig. And to dig as far as I need to in order to find out who I am. With the help of God. Because it's going to take God to reveal, and it's going to take God to help me to deal with some things that I see.
Amen. Amen.
It's going to take God to help me to get over some things that I've been through.
All right, all right.
But I understand that even as I'm speaking that now, that we have the victory.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
We don't have to work towards it. We got it.
Amen.
So I'm victorious, even though I'm working. Even though I'm searching. I have a victory. Can I tell you something else? I'm done. We are admonished to always talk to God, to give it to God. Whatever it is, we submit it over to Him. But can I tell you what is helping me? Talking about it. Sharing it with someone or someone's who won't judge you, who can encourage you, who will love you through it. Nothing changes because you shared this. So that's what I've begun doing. Puts the enemy to shame. Because that's what the enemy wants. He wants us to remain isolated and secluded and private about non-private matters.
All right now. All right now.
I need some help, sister. Brother, I need you to pray for me. Instead of them having to go to God, my sister, sometimes you make it more difficult, or the enemy wants to paint this picture that is more difficult than what it is. Just start sharing. Start telling my sister. Some things she remembers, some things she don't remember. I remember. So those are my experiences. But I cannot allow my experiences, past and even those recent, to stop me from me finding out who I am.
All right now. All right now.
I'm not going to. As a matter of fact, I have this greater drive in me to locate me, because me has been lost. I hope you all are understanding this the way I'm delivering this. I ain't lost, my soul ain't lost. My soul is saved. But Geleeta has been lost for a very long time. Geleeta is finding herself, all right.
Amen.
And I'm excited about it.
Amen.
I'm glad about it.
Amen.
I'm done. Done. Brother Oscar, as I was going through that, and I'm gonna tell you how quick things happen. I'm sharing in ministry, and the enemy said, "Tell Brother Oscar, do not put that out on YouTube. That's to go out on YouTube. That's to be shared." As God allows, the more that we are transparent about what we feeling, how we doing,
Yeah.
and not trying to cover it up and put makeup on it. We don't know who we are failing. Because the truth is, as long as it's on and not exposed, then people just like us are experiencing things that we have experienced, or what we're talking about even then. You have the answer, but you're not willing to share it because you're just too private. It ain't nobody else's business. It's just me and God. God, you work it out. It's between you and I. The Bible says, confess your faults one another.
Amen. Amen.
So you ain't got to cut it. You ain't got to do nothing to it. This was a little raw today. But I'm grateful to God. I'm grateful to God for what He is doing and what He has done and what He shall do in our lives. Amen.
Amen.
I want us to end with prayer. This time we're going to end our worship today. If everyone would everybody just come forward. And we want to form a circle. Or some sort of circle. Maybe if we just make our way down the aisle. There were some things yesterday that you were most able to identify with.
Front door open.
That's Brother Chris. That's Brother Chris. Perhaps you are seeking. Every time you go there to dig deeper, then there are all these roadblocks. There are these bridges that you don't want to cross because they're too painful. May I suggest to you that if you are that one, the Lord is always near us, always ready to help us, to take us through what we're going through, help us to make our way through some really horrible and horrific experiences. Dr. Guy, what I found out is that I was trying to do that on my own and not allowing God to take me through, to go back and revisit some things so that I could deal with it, so that I could be healed and delivered from it.
way you be doing in this circle. Allow God to do it. Don't wait. Don't allow years and years and years and years to go by before you finally realize. I'm lost. I don't even know what direction to even begin going into because I don't even know where I'm at.
Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you right now. We thank you for the very air that we breathe, Lord. We thank you for our consciousness right now to know where we are, where we stand, that we're in the place of help with our brothers and sisters. In this house, Lord God, one that you have blessed and covered and known to be the house of God. Lord, we thank you for the shepherd of this place, this under shepherd that you have given charge. Lord, despite or in spite of the way that she may be feeling, Lord, we know that you have planted her and caused her to seek after your word. Lord God, we realize that there is a spirit man and there is a flesh man. There is the one that desires in the mind, the part of the mind that you give us that is our will, God. That you allow us to search out, to move that which you created us for. Father God, we are searching for what is our place. How is it that you want us to serve? And there are times that we have setbacks, God. But let us continue to stay focused in your word. Let your word feed our mind. For you have not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. So what is a sound mind? A mind that stays focused on Christ. Father God, searching for you are able to be found, and you want to be found, and you want to serve as our high priest, the one that we come to ask to search out our hearts. If there's anything there that be not of you, God, we ask that you would cleanse us right now, God. We know that you are the one who has the answer to all things. And Lord, we seek you. Even when we open our eyes from prayer and it appears that our life is still in a shamble or are not so clear, Father God, help us to be steadfast in you and in your word, God. Help us to see clearly the way that you have made it. And when it's not clear, help us to get quiet. Help us to be quiet. Help us to go to that place that says, God, I'm just right here for you. You know my needs. You know where I am. But I'm right here in you. I'm safe in you. Today we said falling in love with you is the best thing that we have ever done. Coming into the knowledge of Christ is the best thing we have ever done. Knowing that there's a great shepherd is the best thing, Father God, that we can know that we don't do this by ourselves, that we're not out here trying to make a name for ourselves, but the name has already been made, and it is in you, God. So now when we put our hand to the plow, God, we don't necessarily know what's before us, but you have guaranteed us if we keep our hands, our minds, in this case, our hands to the plow, if we continue in the work of God, He is going to direct our path. It is when we take our eyes off Peter, why are you taking your eyes off me? You were walking on the water. What happened? You decided to look upon your surroundings and decide to think about how dangerous it was. But God said, there's no danger in me. There's no danger in me. So help us, God, to keep our eyes on you. We're human. You made us. You know that we are frail, that we shall fall. But God, if we keep our eyes on you, here's the great thing. Even when we fail like Peter, God, you have lifted us up from the water. You have brought us out of doubt. Even when we want to go forward, sometimes it's simply because we are afraid, God. We fear because we don't know. But let us take as an example, Abraham, the one that you call friend. Father God, he says, I'm walking, God. I don't know where you sending me, but I believe you, God. Let us reflect back on what you've done for us. So we realize, wait a minute, I don't have to take 10 steps back. I remember what you did for my mom when I didn't have faith. I remember what you did for my father when I didn't know you. But God, you have been in my life since I began. It's just when I came to recognize who you were, I realized, hey, I'm not doing this by myself anymore. I'm not doing it by myself, God. And let us realize that we take every day as a blessing, as an opportunity that to serve you, even though, God, what do you have for
for me today.
Yes, God.
Not what, oh God, let me keep the covers on because I fear I don't know. No, what is it before me today?
Yes, God.
I know surely a man is born, he shall die. I know that day coming. But God, what is it you going to show me today?
Yes, God.
How is my faith going to be built today? Because I realize it's only through faith that I can please you. So if I don't show no faith, God, I'm not pleasing you.
Yes, God.
I'm walking like the many others who are dead to you, dead to Christ, because I satisfy myself. I don't have to prove nothing to nobody. No, but you said without faith I couldn't please you. So if I'm doing this on my own accord, my own intelligence, my own power, I'm still failing. So change my mind. Change my mind. Change my mind. Change my mind.
Yes, Lord.
To where my mind becomes like the mind of Christ.
Yes, Lord.
I got one goal in this life, and that's to see your face again in peace. Everything in between is going to help me get there. So I must take it as an opportunity, as a tool, as something that might try my faith. God, but help us all to stay steadfast. Don't let us take our eyes off of you, God. Don't let us take it happens to all of us. But I'm asking, God, that you would build up our faith in your words. Help us to be sharpened knives for one another. When our sister and our brother need us, help us not to ignore the fact, oh, child, go pray. No, let us intercede on their behalf. Let us stand with them naturally, God. Walk with them. Encourage them in the way that you called us. I remember in your word that all of your followers, they weren't all doctors. There was one. There were some fishermen in the group of 12. There were some mighty men of finance in your group of 12. They were not all the same. So don't let us look to one and think that that one is better than the other. Just because God called them to that, don't mean he called us to that. And let us be okay with who we are. Let us be okay with who we are. Not that I got to go back, God. I didn't get enough. I didn't get enough school and I didn't get enough this. I can't compete. We're not competing with our brothers and sisters. We are serving as support to our brothers and sisters. You gave us a big toe and a little toe. They have purpose. You gave us a little finger and a thumb. They have purpose. You gave us eyes and ears. The ears can't do what the eyes can do. The nose can't do what the mouth can do. But we don't spite the one because we want to shine. But we work together. We work together to share the gospel of Jesus Christ with every lost soul. To win souls to Christ, not by what we do, not by our occupation, but who we are. And the only way we know who we are is to stay fully connected to you. And then whatever you give us as a life task, every day, God, help us to realize, that's my calling. That's my calling today. That's my calling to not my title, not that I've been successful and made it as a therapist or a psychologist or a bus driver or a janitor. That's the title you've given me, or that's the occupation I serve in. But my calling is to be a disciple of Christ, to be a steward of Christ, and realize that the position that I'm in is to help somebody else. Lord, I love you, and I'm grateful because the very place that my sister stands in, I was there not long ago. But because knives sharpen knives, God, we have to be reminded the world is constantly trying to tell us that we're not good enough, or we haven't arrived, or you got to be this, or you know, Jesus, I got to be right now, this moment when you call me to be. And right now I'm in this circle with my brothers and sisters. And if I fail to be a support to them, I fail. I fail totally. Right now is what concerns me. Help us to walk in the right now. We have our future, and we can be sure that it's going to be all right. In Jesus' name, we give you glory. Forgive us of our sins. And help us to not be accuser of the brethren, even unto ourselves. Let it go.
give the fall shorts and all that to God. Not to repeat them, but to let them go so we can continue to do the will He's called us to. For it is in Jesus' mighty name, glorious name we pray. Amen.
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 Hallelujah.
The Lord watch between me and you while we're absent from one another. As we ask in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Thank you, Jesus.
Better not see you. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.